The decryptor worked, but the data was still gone. What if I told you a ransomware victim successfully decrypted more than 50 servers and still couldn't access some of their most critical business data? Sounds impossible, right? But that's exactly the situation we encountered during a recent Keelan ransomware recovery engagement involving a 13-terabyte virtual machine. And it highlights a reality most organizations don't understand about ransomware recovery. Sometimes getting the decryptor is only the beginning. The situation: the client had been hit by Keelan ransomware. Working with their incident response team, they successfully decrypted roughly 50 servers. For most organizations, that's where the story ends. But one critical virtual machine remained inaccessible. This wasn't a small system. It was a 13 TB VMware virtual machine containing approximately 40,000 business-critical files. No viable backups existed. The file system was heavily damaged. The master file table had sustained corruption. Partitions had been rebuilt, and multiple recovery attempts had already been performed before total data migration became involved. At first glance, the environment appeared unrecoverable. What we found, as we analyzed the environment, we discovered something interesting. The ransomware wasn't actually the biggest problem anymore. The biggest challenge was everything that happened afterward. Repair utilities had been run. Recovery software had been executed. File system correction tools had modified portions of the original metadata. Large amounts of logical structure had been altered. In other words, the decryptor removed the encryption, but it didn't restore the integrity of the environment. Traditional recovery methods were no longer effective. Most organizations stopped there. We didn't. The TDM approach. Instead of relying on the damaged post-decryption copy, our engineers went back to the original encrypted source. We analyzed the encrypted VMDK, the ransomware decryptor, NTFS structures, metadata relationships, raw storage blocks. What we discovered was critical. Although the file system had sustained extensive damage, significant amounts of underlying data were still present at the block level. That changed everything. Instead of performing a traditional recovery, we developed a custom reconstruction strategy focused on block-level extraction, metadata correlation, VMDK reconstruction, file system rebuilding, recovery of approximately 40,000 priority business files. Here's the lesson. Many organizations believe ransomware recovery is about one question: can we get the decryptor? In reality, that's often the wrong question. The better question is, what condition is the data in after decryption? Because encryption is only one layer of damage. File systems can be corrupted. Metadata can be destroyed. Recovery attempts can alter critical structures. And that's where advanced reconstruction becomes necessary. At Total Data Migration, we specialize in the complex recovery scenarios that begin when traditional recovery methods fail. If you're dealing with ransomware, virtual machine corruption, damaged file systems, or large-scale data reconstruction challenges, we'd be happy to discuss your situation.